So I bet you're dying to know, what is the number one biggest deal killer I see when somebody's using a VA mortgage buying a 2 to 4 unit property? Well, I'm not gonna give you that right now because you're gonna have to wait till the end. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through what does it look like to buy a 2 to 4 unit property with a VA mortgage. What are some of the things, even if you Google it, that's not coming up? Because I went ahead, I chat GPT it, I Googled it, and the biggest thing that we always come across was not even showing up on the radar. So today we're gonna dive into what goes into 2 to 4 unit, what exactly are we looking for, and what are some of the top things that you should be thinking about, considering, and making sure you have set up before you even go down the road of a pre-approval or getting approved to buy one of these properties. And if we just met, my name is Kenny Simpson. I focus on 1 to 4 unit financing. I've been doing this over 20 years. Yeah, it dates me a little bit. Helped over 5,000 clients, funded billions of dollars alone. And I'm here creating content and videos like this to hopefully help you understand the process of buying or refinancing a property, whether you're buying a single family, a condo, maybe a 4 unit as you're watching this video. Maybe you're gonna buy an investment property. Maybe you're self-employed and you got denied by a bank and you've watched some of my videos. But anyways, I appreciate you're here. If you want to get more information from me, you can always reach me below in the description. You can contact me, text me, schedule a call, and obviously you can follow me on social and learn much more about me by below. Also, if you wanted to connect, reach out anytime. But with that being said, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment below if I can answer any questions. And also, if you know anybody else, maybe you're in the military and you have a buddy, or maybe you and a buddy are gonna buy a 4 unit together, share this video with somebody else. Let somebody else learn something and help them out. And again, I always appreciate everybody and your feedback. So one of the beautiful things we know about the VA mortgage, whether you're buying a house or a 4 unit, is which we love, is there is 0% down. You could actually put 0% down. And if you structured your deal correctly, like if you have a really good agent who you work with, if they went ahead, put an offer and you got your closing costs covered, you literally could buy a property, which we do for tons of our clients, with 0% down, 0 closing costs. And it's unbelievable that you have that ability to do that, all while having 0 mortgage insurance, which is just crazy and can save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month and thousands of dollars a year. And over the life of a mortgage, we won't even get into that because it's probably 10, 20, 30, 40 plus $1,000 in savings. So having that ability is amazing. But also we want to say thank you to everybody past, present in the military. Thank you for your service, because they should give you the best loan, the best product, because you do obviously keep us safe and protected. So anyways, let's dive into buying a 2 to 4 unit property using your VA mortgage. I'm going to go over some of the things you might know, some of the things you might not know, how to deal with them, and then stay to the end, because I am going to hook you up with the one thing that I swear always catches clients off guard, or they want to buy a 4 unit. Just like I had a client this last week, wanted to buy it, but because of this reason, they're gonna have to look into single family or a condo. So number one, you can put 0% down. Even if you're not exempt from the funding fee, we can actually finance that in. So that is great, great news, even if you're buying a 4 unit property. Number two, one of the things you wanna note, and if you're writing notes, write this down or put it in your phone, however you're watching or taking notes, is if you buy a 4 unit property, depending on who the lender you go with, the underwriter, you might be buying a property where all the tenants are locked into long-term leases. If that underwriter asks for all the leases, they can question and say, wait a minute, hey, how are you gonna move in if everybody in the property is not scheduled to move out for 6 months? So they require you to move in 60 days or less. So if that is a problem, depending on where you live in the US and what you got going on, you would have to figure out with the seller, with the renter, with your agent, and try to get them out early. There's many ways to do that. I'm not going to explain on this video, but if you are considering that or ran into that problem, reach out to me and I can tell you how to get around that issue. So just recapping, you need to move in by lender standards, but according to the doctor and the law, within 60 days. If for some reason you can't, and you're watching this video and you already bought the home and you can't move in because of problems, you will probably be okay. It's always good to let your lender know maybe the person didn't get out, there's a problem. So just beware that it's something you always want to communicate with your lender with if you're struggling to get in there on time. The beautiful thing, the difference from a VA mortgage and an FHA mortgage is that FHA, when you buy a 3 to 4 unit, you cannot always use the rents to qualify because you have to pass a self-sufficiency test. So the beautiful thing at a VA mortgage or even a conventional is that we can use the rents to qualify. So we can take, let's say you're buying a 4 unit and there's 3 other units. We can take the gross rents that are in place, that if they're vacant, if those units are vacant and you're buying it, whatever the gross rents are in current condition, remember, current condition, and what the appraiser would say on the report, you can use 75% of the gross rent on a VA mortgage. What in the world does that mean? That means if you're buying a 4 unit, you move into 1. Let's say the other 3 units each rent out for $1,500. So, right? 1,500 times 0.75, that's $1,125 that we can use times 3. So that's $3,750 of additional income we can use to offset the mortgage payment and help you qualify. If you don't have landlord experience or rental experience, there are certain lenders that will not allow you to use this income. There is a way to get around it. If you want to know how to get around it, contact me and I'll let you know and I'll give you that tip and that hack. Number 4. What's always listed is if you go to Google and sometimes you talk to certain lenders, they will tell you the max DTI for this particular product or this particular loan could be 43%, 45%, 49%. With VA, there really is almost no limit. I know it's hard to say, but the reason why I'm saying this is traditionally, yes, we have to pull your credit, run your application, put in all your income, and then upload you and run you through the automated approval system. Well, that automated approval system could, depending on your credit and your overall file, it might not even let you get approved past 45, maybe not even 49. So you're never guaranteed to go past a 43, a 45, a 49 if you really don't run AUS. But in some cases, believe it or not, I have gotten the debt to income. So debt to income is how much money you earn. So let's say you make $10,000 a month and let's say your bills are $4,000. So 4,000 divided by 10,000 is 40%. So your debt to income would be 40%. So we would take anything that's on your credit report, car payment, credit card payments, student loan payments, things like that. We'd add them into your mortgage, combine those together, and we'd upload, and we basically divide that into what you make. So if all your bills were $5,000 and you make 10 divided by 5 is 50%. Your DTI would be 50%. The crazy thing is with VA, I have literally gotten people approved up to DTI at 60, 70, and 80%. Not that you're going to go there. I don't know why. I've talked to underwriters. Why does it allow so high? I'm not sure. The factor probably is we're only using 75% of the gross rents. A lot of times people are buying properties here where I'm located, like for example, in San Diego, which is a great house hacking city. Some of those renters are paying under market rent and things like that. So there's a lot of upside to that. So I wanted to point that out. You can actually go way higher in DTI, but we would have to run your application, run your credit, run you through the automated approval system and get there. And what are some of the factors is probably looking to get high? Number 1, you're going to want to have some reserves. Number 2, good credit. And, just things like that. So if you have bad credit and you're barely making it on reserves, it's going to be very tough. Obviously, another thing is some people do choose to put a little bit of money down. Maybe they'll put 5%, 3%, 10% on some of these bigger jumbo purchases here in the state of California. That helps you get over the hump. Number 5, another big thing and factor that I actually did find this on the internet, which is great, but a lot of people kind of forget about is appraisal. So when you get an appraisal just for a VA, there's a little bit more like magnifying glass on it. Meaning if you have a house that has, foundation problems or peeling paint and health and safety issues, that sometimes you get through with maybe a Fannie or Freddie loan. VA loan, you might get stopped in your tracks. So some of the things we have to think about is if you're going 100% financing and that this 4 unit you're buying does not appraise, that means you'd have to come in money. That could be a deal breaker. Number 2, what if there's issues with the property? Like I said, peeling paint, health and safety, things like that. You'd have to deal with that. That could be a deal breaker. Number 3, what a lot of people don't think about is, let's say you're buying a property and the units are all vacant and you want to use those market rents. What if the appraiser comes back with low market rents? Yes, you could rebuttal them. You can go get those comps and give them to them. But if that does not come up, that is the rents we're using. So if those rents are too low and you don't qualify, that could also be a deal breaker in buying a 4 unit. All these three things I've talked about because I've seen them all. I've seen values come in low. I've seen properties that have issues. And number three, I've seen rents come in lower than people thought. Those all three have become deal breakers. Are there ways we can get around them? Sure. If your value comes in low, can we give additional comps to that appraiser and rebuttal it and get them up? If there's supporting comps, absolutely. Number two, if there's problems with the property, can that seller go ahead and fix some of them, get them repaired, send the appraiser back out there and get a thumbs up to move forward? Absolutely. And number three is obviously, again, we can give them comps to say, hey, here's some supporting comps for rental comps. Can you use those to get that rent up, which gets the income up, helps you qualify? Absolutely. There's always a way to rebuttal it, but sometimes, just so you know, there might not be, and you unfortunately have to walk away from a purchase. And number six, before we get to the big one of Kenny, what is it? What the heck am I missing here? What could it be that is the biggest number one deal breaker? We're going to get to it in a minute. So last but not least, the one thing you need to think about is budgeting. Just like when you buy a single family residence and you move in, just moving in, you've got to move in. Maybe you've got to clean everything. Maybe you got to fix something. Maybe you got to buy new furniture, right? All this stuff is there's moving costs. So just moving alone costs money. Buying a property can cost money. Even with the VA mortgage where you put zero down, there's still cost associated. We're going to buy new furniture, move, like I said. So we have to keep these things on the top of our mind and make sure we're well aware of our budgeting. But what are some of the things that might be different than buying a condo or a home that you're going to go live in? Well, if you buy a 4-unit, you automatically became a property owner. You automatically became a landlord. And you automatically might have become a property manager, all three in one. Boom. So take apart just owning a property. Now you become a landlord. So if you move in and somebody's water heater breaks, there's a roof leak, there's a plumbing issue, leaving at your house, you go, oh, we'll fix this later. You can't ignore it. That is a health and safety. Somebody could not pay rent. They could, call an attorney. So you have to fix that. So you have to have additional capital to fix repair, maintenance. You also, what if you move in and then somebody moves out? They're like, oh, I don't like you. I don't want to stay here. Or they just decide they're going to move out. Maybe you rent raise them. Do you have money for vacancies? That means if somebody moves out, that you're carrying the mortgage. Do you also have money too for doing the unit turn? So there are many things you need to factor when you're buying a 4-unit property. It's not just like owning a home. You have to deal with tenants. You have to get back to them quickly to avoid problems. Okay. So now we are going to answer the question, the number one deal breaker where people don't even get to go look at 4 units. They can't even get pre-qualified. It's a non-starter, but I'm going to give you the ways around it. Have you guessed what it is? If you're buying a 2 to 4 unit, whether it's Fannie, Freddie, FHA, and VA, one thing you are required to do, and that is, my friend, you have to have reserves. That means you have to have money in a bank that is 6 months, 3 months, depending on what it is. This is what some lenders, you have to have reserves to qualify to buy a VA mortgage. So let's say your monthly payment's $5,000. If they require 6 months, you have to have $30,000 sitting in stock, 401k, checking, savings. There's different ways we look at it. You have to have reserves. What if you have zero reserves? Could you buy a property? Yes. Could you get a co-signer to go on with you, potentially on a VA loan? That's hard, right? Because you can't really just do that. So conventional FHA, yes. VA, tough to get a co-signer, so that might not work. Could your family give you money and you put it in your account? No, because you cannot gift reserves. Could you get money months and months prior knowing you're going to buy a property and somebody gives you the money, you put in an account and you leave it in there and it's seasoned, meaning it's been sitting in there with 2 clean statements? Absolutely. Could you be a co-signer on a bank account that somebody writes a letter and says you have 100% access to this and that helps your reserves? Absolutely. There's ways around it, but that becomes one of the biggest deal breakers where it's a non-starter where they end up buying a house or a condo because they do not have the 6 months reserves that are required by the guidelines. So anyways, thanks for watching. Thanks for support. Share this video with somebody. And also if I can help you out, you know to hit me up below. We'll talk soon. Remember, like, subscribe, and share this with somebody. And I'd love to hear your comments below.